170 years ago, in 1835, there was a survey carried out in the mid-Ulster and northwest regions of the province, which told that the occupation of the people was mostly farming, with many of the poor cotters being described as flax weavers. Their humble dwellings were described as narrow and dark. In them smoke and other nuisances seemed to prevail within their walls, and dung pits and pools of stagnant water lay close to the doors and windows. The main food of the poor was potatoes and meal. Salt herrings were much used, and in Kilrea on the River Bann, trout, salmon and eels were a good part of the local diet. The better off farmers and the landlords kept cattle, pigs, sheep and poultry. These cattle were black, and most farmers would have had 8 or 9 of them. They were good for beef or milking. Nowadays, when the housewife wants to buy meat, she will most likely go to the butcher's, and this scene is a delivery of beef to McAtamney's butchers in Garva. This beef comes in a refrigerated lorry from Oma Meats in County Tyrone. These carcasses of meat weigh between 170 and 180 pounds, and they will provide sirloin, chump and fillet steak, topside beef, shin for soup, stewing steak, silverside roast and eye steak roast. McAtamneys make their own mince from the trimmings of the steak. They have been in the butchery business for 70 years, and despite recent health scares about red meat, they will go through a delivery this size every week. An old butchery premises was being demolished recently to make way for a new supermarket, and in the yard was a strange-looking stone. One of the older residents of the town told us that he remembered this stone and what it was used for. The cobbled yard might give a clue. Long ago there was no refrigerated van to bring the meat to the butcher's. The butcher went out to the farm, selected a bullock from about 4 or 5 years old, and bought it from the farmer. He then walked it back to the butcher's yard. Nowadays, beef cattle must be killed no older than 30 months. The stone had a large metal ring in it. You can still see the indentation where the ring was. The unfortunate animal's head was pulled down onto the stone and it was slaughtered. The O'Connell brothers were butchers here, and it was said that their meat was very good because they did not kill the animal straight away. When it had walked maybe 2 or 3 miles in from the farm, its muscles were all tensed up, which would have made the meat grisly. But after a couple of days it had settled down, and that is why the meat was so good. Local man Henry Borland is turning the old grindstone which the butchers used to sharpen their knives. The blood would have flowed through this grating, most likely into the Agivy River. In the year 1835, things were much different, for that was 10 years before the Great Famine, and there were almost twice as many people in Ireland then as now. Many poor people were living on the poverty line. Fathers had been dividing their land up with their sons for several generations, and by this time small farms would have been only 5 or 6 acres, unfit to keep large cattle. A small breed of cattle which was popular then was black Dexters. Hard and Deirdre Hilton farm at Bovidi between Garva and Kilrea, and they keep a herd of these small cattle, which were said to have come to Ireland with the Spanish Armada over 400 years ago.
It is believed that the Dexter originally came over with the Spanish during the Armada. These animals were bred down to provide milk and meat on the galleons, and when they went aground off the southwest tip of Ireland, County Kerry, they swam ashore and lived as feral cattle in County Kerry. If you look at a Dexter bull with horns, he does look very much like a Spanish fighting bull, only a lot smaller.
100 years ago, the smallholders would have all had a little Dexter, or the majority anyway, and it fed the house with milk and beef. They reared the bull calves for beef, and many of the older generation will tell you that their family had a little Dexter in the old days, or that they used to milk them. Unfortunately, they are a little bit short in the legs, or some of them for milking, but they managed in the old days, and they were the lifeblood of a lot of the little small holdings. Pheasant Hill Farm Shop in Cumber sell all our Dexter beef. We source, the Dexter group over in Northern Ireland, which I'm the chairperson of, sources the meat, the Dexter beef, for that shop. And it's in great demand. They can't get enough of it. It is the favourite meat of the rare breeds. They also can't get enough over in England.
Is it expensive?
It's, to us, we wouldn't get any more for the animal, really, than you would for a commercial animal. But certainly they can put a premium on it at selling it in the shop. And over in England they'll get a premium for it. We're just getting up and off the ground here, as yet we haven't got enough bullocks to supply the demand. But we hope when that happens that definitely the price will go up.
So you have no problem getting rid of all you can produce?
No, no problem whatsoever.
Another rare breed of cattle is the Irish Moiled. This is a small hornless breed, red in colour and usually marked by a white line down the back. The Irish Moiled is a very friendly little cow, a very reliable milker or suckler, and can live up to 20 years of age. Margaret and Armour Kennedy live close to the village of Cullibaccy and have a herd of 17 cattle. This breed was very popular in Ireland during the 1800s, but by the end of that century the shorthorn, around about the same size, had taken over, and by the 1960s the Irish Moiled was almost extinct, with only 2 small herds left in all of Ireland. The breed managed to survive, and in the 1980s a Rare Breeds Trust was set up to preserve breeds like the Moiled and the Dexters. The breed still remains on the critical list of rare breeds, although at the present time there are about 226 breeding cows in Ireland and throughout Great Britain.